Is there such a thing as an accidental book haul? I don't think so, but I'm gonna say it is. My name is Monique. Welcome back to the Cauldron. This is Bookwitch Reviews. I've never done a book haul before, but I feel somewhat bad about how many books I got this month, but also not. So we're gonna do a video about it because I can and I want to, and then I can also talk about them. First up, we're gonna talk about the 5 books that I got accepted for on NetGalley. And if you didn't know what NetGalley is, it is a reviewer site where you can ask for a e-arc of a upcoming book if you are a reviewer or a book person or librarian or a bookseller. And I have snuck on there and I'm now having a great time, but I also feel like I really need to read things before they come out because otherwise I feel bad. But I got accepted for 5, so we're gonna talk about them. First up, I somehow got accepted for The Girl and the Stars by Mark Lawrence, which is one of my most anticipated books of this year. It's coming out on the 20th of April. Book set after his series The Book of the Ancestor, which I highly recommend that you read first because 1, it is amazing, and 2, I think it explains some of the stuff that is going to go on in The Girl and the Stars. It is a story that is almost sci-fi, it's a little bit fantasy, and it follows one girl who is like followed by death, and that is pretty much all I know about this book, and I don't think I need to know anything else. The book that I got accepted for on NetGalley is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winters, which I believe is getting a reprint, which is coming out sometime in March. I think it's the 7th. I'm gonna write it down here. This is a revenge book where we apparently follow Tao, who was in the war and sort of hoping to settle down, and then a big betrayal comes for him in this high fantasy, highly magical world, and then he sets out to become the greatest swordsman and kill these 3 people who betrayed him. And I am psyched for this book. I love a good revenge plot. I just love a good little angry character who's willing to die for things to fuck other people up. Good time. Accepted for Goldilocks by Laura Lamb, which is coming out on the 30th of March. April. I can't remember things, okay? I can't count and I can't remember months, and I have to do everything on my handsies. Just why they talk a lot. Also maybe why they look so tired. But Goldilocks is a sci-fi book about a group of women who are meant to set out on this voyage to find a place for humankind to move because we are killing the earth. And we're following especially one woman called Valerie Black, and also her daughter, who is the ship's meant to be like botanist, who's called Naomi. It sounds so good. It sounds something like Becky Chambers-ish, lots of strong women, and apparently it is an in-between of The Handmaid's Tale and The Martian, and I am pumped. Next up, I also got a copy of The Court of Miracles by Kester Grant, which is on the 4th of June. It is a young adult fantasy book, maybe new adult fantasy books, about a pair of sisters who live in this like 1800 Paris-ish world. Is it actually fantasy? I'm not entirely sure. But we have a big sister who is a thief and is in the court of thieves, and she sort of like burgles and try to avoid her father and look out for her little sister Etty. And then suddenly Etty is seen by one of these flesh traders or a person in the pleasure court, and he wants her for his own, and it all of a sudden sets off this whole event where our main character Nina has to make a choice of keeping the peace or saving her sister, and it sounds beautiful. I love me some sisterhood, and I love a good thief. Can you tell that I have a thing for like morally grey heroes? Which brings us to the last book that I was just accepted for, and it is Chosen Ones by Veronica Roth. If you didn't know, Veronica Roth wrote the Divergent series, but I am super excited for the premise of this book. And basically, it reminds me of this one sort of Tumblr post that I read 700 years ago. And it's basically what happens after the big climax, after the big war. So when you have the Chosen One, and what happens afterwards. Basically, Chosen Ones follows in those footsteps. So I think we have 4 main characters. I can't remember now, but we follow one girl who is in this group of Chosen Ones who apparently defeated this big evil called the Dark One, and now 10 years later they are still followed as celebrities, but the younger generation sort of don't remember this big, great, terrible evil. And then apparently there's like a cataclysm of something else is happening, and there might be some sheems in the background, and one of the Chosen Ones apparently died, and they meet up for the funeral, and it sounds so good, and I am a little bit hesitant about whether or not it's going to be as good as I want it to be, because I'm going to be really, really sad if it isn't. So I have only recently joined Twitter, which you can find a link for down below. I'm somewhat funny-ish. I speak about gay stuff and books. And also I took part in the random act of kindness sort of day, where especially one girl sent me a book, and her name is Nikki Reeds. I'm going to link her down below. I'm going to link her. She sent me To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. Alexandra Christo. And I have been waiting to read this book. This is young adult. It is about sirens and warring kingdoms, and I'm so excited about this. And then we're going to very quickly jump through the remainder of the accidental books that I bought myself. What the fuck, Monique? What? So I am only briefly going to speak about most of these books because there is a lot. Excuse you. There's 10 of him. 10. Okay, so let's roll with it. First up, we got All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. This was in my Owlcrate box. I bought them myself. I'm speaking about it in my unboxing, which I will link down below. Basically, this is a story about a girl who has to control this kind of soul magic to be the queen of her kingdom, but something goes wrong and she ends up on this ship with these maybe morally grey characters, and they sort of have to help her gain her power back, and she will help them get her damn magic back. And I am very excited about it. This cover is stunning, it's beautiful. Please look into it, and go check out my unboxing if you want to. Next up, we got a whole lot of charity bought books, so secondhand books, because I have a teeny tiny little bookshop underneath my house, and the books are cheap, and sometimes I find things in there that I'm like, yes. And that is what happened, especially with this. This is The Surface Breaks by Louise O'Neill. I read this book in December last year. It is a retelling of The Little Mermaid, which is like a classic fairy tale, and it is about a girl who gives up her voice and goes through pure torture to be with this prince boy, and it's like, it says to be a feminist retelling, and I really enjoyed this. It has some issues, and I spoke about this in my December wrap-up. I'm gonna link all my videos down below if you haven't seen it yet. It's also a little bit messy, but honestly, this is just a beautiful. Look at this. It's just stunning. What's a little stack? This is the Tamara, I'm not entirely sure, series by Naomi Novik. You may have known Naomi Novik as the woman who wrote Uprooted and Spinning Silver, which are some of my favorites. Basically been very slowly accumulating this series, which has like 9 or 10 books. And basically, Tamara is a historical fiction fantasy sort of books about the Napoleon War, but with dragons. Got some classic I'm talking. We got The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula Le Guin. This is a multi-award winning story. I think it's a little bit sci-fi-ish. So Ursula Le Guin wrote the Earthsea Quartet, Earthsea Saga, not entirely sure. But this book is about 2 people who were recently strangers who find themselves on a long, tortuous, dangerous journey across the ice. One is an outcast forced to leave his beloved homeland, and the other is fleeing from a different kind of persecution. And apparently this book is just beautiful and amazing, and a foray into sci-fi where women had barely gone before her. And this book was written in 1969. I wanted it. Got some Neil Gaiman. It is The Ocean at the End of the Lane. I have always heard really great things. I really, really love Neil Gaiman's style of writing. It's very special and you sort of have to be into it to want to read it. And this book is just one that people have been telling me to pick up because I really, really loved American Gods. I don't know how to explain this book, so I'm just going to read the back for you. This is what he remembers as he sits by the ocean at the end of the lane. A dead man on the back seat of a car, and warm milk at the farmhouse, an ancient little girl and an old woman who saw the moon being made, a beautiful housekeeper with a monstrous smile, and dark forces woken that were best left undisturbed. Basically, Neil Gaiman does weird stuff in our world where it's like almost magic, but not quite, and a little bit dark and a little bit horror, and you're like, what the fuck? But also, mind blow. I pay $1.99 for these books. Okay, I do what I want. I got some books so that I could put my my really beautiful dust jackets on them. So I bought secondhand the Wicked King and the Queen of Nothing. These are the Owlcrate special edition dust jackets, and I love them so much. I can't. So I obviously have the first one from the actual box, which is a very beautiful edition underneath, but also beautiful in the front. And now I have the little whole set, and they are just stunning. And if you do not know what The Cruel Prince is about, are you very new to BookTube, or have you been living under a rock? Basically, The Cruel Prince is a very, very, very hyped series. It's also actually called the Folk of the Air series, I'm not sure. And it basically follows Jude, who is a human who has grown up in like the Fey lands, and Carden, who is our douchebaggy little prince. And there is court intrigue and politics, and it is written in first person, and I hate that part of it, but other than that, I fucking love it. Jude is a little murder baby, especially The Wicked King. It's fucking amazing. Queen of Nothing only came out this year. I really like this series. People hate it, people love it. I'm just like, it's good. But this is just almost finally we got myself a little secondhand edition of Dark Dawn, which basically the Nevernight series follows Mia Corvair, who is revenging the murder of her whole family by becoming an assassin in this school of darkness and assassiny things, and there is just murder and gruesome stuff and sex, and it's just, I loved it so much. And this is the third one, and I wanted to have it because yes, this is what I'm most excited about. I came home yesterday to a package and I wasn't prepared for it, and I had been contacted by a person who self-published and was like, oh, do you want to review my book? And I was like, yeah, sure, sounds great. And I thought it was this book, and it wasn't. This is The Queen of Coin and Whispers by Helena Cochrane, and my good friend Jack from JT something, I can't remember what his actual name is, but I'm gonna link him down below. He sent me his arc of this book, and I'm so stoked for it. Oh my god. So this is a female fantasy book coming out in April, I think the 3rd or the 4th. It's coming out on the 6th because I can't think of things, and basically it is about a girl who inherits a bankrupt kingdom from her uncle, and she basically hires this poison spy master who is out for revenge, and there's meant to be some love and some things, and also darkness. And even just like, look at this front. This could be the final book for all I know, because it's fucking stunner, and it literally says, she loved me as I loved her, fierce as a bloodied blade. How does this sound? February went a little crazy. I don't know how. Thank you very much to NetGalley and all of the publishers that is allowing me to review their books. Thank you so much to Nikki and to Jack for sending me some books. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I like watching other people book hauls, so hopefully you'll like me too. If you did, hit it a thumbs up, give me that subscribing, because I love you and you will love to watch me and we can be friendsies. Also, everyone I've mentioned today will be linked down below, plus links to my other social media where I am funnier and also better planned out. Other than that, I'll see you all soon. I love y'all. Enjoy yourselves. Goodbye. Why aren't my handsies this way? We'll come back to the cauldron.